All right, everyone, welcome back here. SportsBook Sports, all things sports betting. I'm your host, Connor, with my boy here, GA.
What up, what up? Welcome to episode 18.
Episode 18. College football is about to kick off tomorrow, August 28th, week 0. We got a few more over-unders that we're about to discuss today for college football. We'll also recap where we're at so far with the 100K challenge. Been on a little hiatus with everything, but getting back into the flow. Also going to be throwing out these picks, especially with football coming on us and postseason baseball coming up here soon. So it's definitely an exciting time.
Yeah, we got a little break in before the football season because starting this weekend, we're at week 0 college football, and then week one college football. Next week, and then the week after that, week 2 college football, and the NFL kicking off. So we got a little preseason week 3 this week. Then there's a little bit of a break for Labor Day. The NFL comes back strong. I know while we've been taking a little bit of a break, I've been betting some overs and unders in preseason. Seems like Vegas has caught on to the unders trend, so those lines have moved down a lot. So might be hanging off on them this week, preseason week 3, and just focusing on college football, which we'll have some of that talk in our 100K challenge. But before we get into our favorite remaining overs and unders that we're going to talk about today, SportsBook Sports, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube, we're on SportsBook Talks on Twitter. Give us a like, give us a follow, let us know what you guys are thinking about taking for either this coming preseason or this coming college football season. You know, we've recapped all 5 power conferences. We've talked about our Heisman winners from them, conference winners, and given out some overs and unders. So there's a couple of those. I think next week in one of our episodes, I'm going to do what my final votes for my final bets are for the 100K challenge on overs and unders are going to be. But for today, we're just talking about week 0 for me for the 100K challenge. I'm off baseball. It's killed me this summer, so I'm focusing strictly on college football and NFL from here on out. Very excited. Might sprinkle in a little baseball when we start getting to the playoffs and stuff, maybe some series bets or whatnot, but very excited that football's back because I think it's going to save me in this 100K challenge.
Yeah, I was going to say I'm looking forward to it as well. Definitely excited. College football's here, and where it's going to take us this year. I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, so do you want to hop into our who we like for the remaining overs and unders?
Yeah,
for the rest of the season. I know that I have 3. I just want to pull something up real quick. I don't know if you have one in front of you that you like that you want to start with. You want me to kick it off because
the MAC conference, I can kick it off.
Okay, I got a MAC one, so I'm excited to hear what you think. I'm hoping it's not the same.
I'm taking Ball State.
Okay, that's my first one.
Over.
I like that. Why do you like it?
I just think they return everyone. They got a good quarterback from last year, Drew Plitt, Justin Hall, a receiver. Realistically, I mean, they just bring back every single person, essentially 10 returners on each side of the ball. They're also bringing back all their backups as well, so they're pretty much returning the same exact team from last year. Mike New is in his 6th year. I think he's improved every year since. And I mean, with their schedule where it's at right now, I just don't see them 7.5. The over is plus 100. On FanDuel Sportsbook. I mean, it's just. I think I almost like it too much that I want to fade it.
Yep.
Because I don't know what Vegas is doing with that. It's either such a fucking lollipop of a winner, or they're going to go fucking 3-9 this year.
Yeah, it's even money. Like you said, it's plus 100 right now, over 7.5 on FanDuel.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. One thing we talked about with all these over-unders is we talked about returning starters. And one of the comments I made was, yeah, you might be returning a lot of people, but it might not have been a really good team. Mm-hmm. Ball State was a really good team last year.
Yeah.
7-1.
Yeah.
I don't know if they won the MAC. I believe that they did, but I'm blanking on that right now.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, they did. Top 50 rushing offense, top 50 rushing defense. Need to improve a little bit on passing defense, top 30 passing attack.
Yep.
So they're a strong team with, like you said, a ton of returning people. I love the 7.5 number because they're returning so many people, as well as their schedule. I think that their schedule looks pretty nice. I think that they have Penn State's tough week 2.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't really see another game on there that I'm nervous about. I believe they're favored in every game besides that.
Yeah.
So some of the tougher games that they have are on the road, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Or some of the easier games, that they have are on the road, leaving some of the tougher games that they have, Toledo, Army, and Buffalo, are all home games for them.
Yeah.
I just think that I've liked them. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, we were at my apartment. We were having an incredible day gambling. I think it was like a midday bet that we had, and it was like a $100 3-teamer to win $600, and they hit on that. And that was like the first time that I really remember like watching a Ball State game. I think it was like on ESPN Plus or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I love the colors, love the Cardinal. I love Ball State. I mean, just MAC football is the best. It's just, you never know what's going to happen. So I like Ball State as well, over 7.5. They're one of my picks that I have. I have another over. I don't know if you have another over, but I like App State.
Mm-hmm.
The over on them right now is 8.5, I believe. Let's look it up right now on FanDuel to see what they're looking at. But App State, for me, they're in the same conference as Coastal Carolina. I'm blanking on what that conference is right now.
Sun Belt.
Yep, Sun Belt. So Coastal Carolina ended up winning that last year. We bet Coastal Carolina, I think, like every week last year. That was one of the teams that made us a ton of money. I love Coastal Carolina for that. I love them forever for that. But I do think that they take a little bit of a step back this year. I think App State had a pretty good year last year. They went 9-3 last year. Their biggest issue, they had a great defense, top 50 rushing, top 10 passing defense. And then one of the biggest things that stuck out to me is they're number 1 in the country on third down completion percentage. Yep. So when it became, it's nut up or shut up time, third down, big spots, could be 3rd and 2, could be 3rd and 11, doesn't matter. They're shutting people down on third down, and I love that. They returns 10 starters on defense. So back to what we were talking about is, it's good to have a lot of returning people, but it's great when a lot of people are returning to a good unit. So of that, a top-notch defense that they have, they're returning 10 people. And then on the offensive side of the ball, they had a great rushing attack. So Cameron Peoples returns. He's a junior year running back for them. Top 10 rushing attack last year in the country. He himself topped 1,200 yards, which is an awesome number for him too. Look at the problem with App State for me. The only real knock that I have against them is that their quarterback position is kind of up in the air.
Yeah, their guy transferred out.
Yep, so their guy transferred out. They bring in Chase Bryce, who I remember him from Clemson. He was on Duke last year, but
he hasn't really put it together.
He has not put it together. So they have a huge hole there that they're hoping Chase Bryce can fill. But if he doesn't fill it in, they still were a pretty good team last year with a lot of the same people in place. Great defense, good rushing attack. If he can get it together, I think that this team takes a step, possibly wins the Sun Belt, and possibly moves on to bigger and better things. They were a bottom 100 passing offense last year.
Yep.
So you don't have to improve a ton. Get me to 70, get me to the 80 best passing offense, 70th best passing offense, and I'll be happy. So I really do think that App State's in a good spot, just because I think in that division or conference, Coastal Carolina, I think, takes a step back. I think that you saw it towards the end of the season. I mean, they ended up winning, but they stopped covering towards the end of the year. So I think that people were getting a little wise to what they were doing, that they were a real team that they had to prepare for. And I think App State puts it together with their offense this year with the quarterback of Chase Bryce coming in.
Yep.
I think that they can win the Sun Belt. So only loss I really see on their schedule is Miami week 2, Miami, Florida week 2. After that, there's 2 coin flip games. Again, their over-under is 8.5. I think that they can easily win 9. But I think they have the upside of winning 10 or 11. So that's who I'm going with as my second pick as the over-under. I just want to pull up on FanDuel. I kind of got talking here. I want to pull up on FanDuel what their odds are. But while I look up that, I don't know if you have any thoughts on App State, what you kind of like down in the Sun Belt. If you're going to rock Coastal Carolina again all year like we did this year.
I'm not gonna bet. I'm not gonna bet Coastal Carolina as much. I think their numbers are gonna be a little inflated.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna run through the Sun Belt though and dominate just like they did last year. But I think those spreads are gonna be a little bit higher than they were last year because not many people knew about Coastal. So this year I think they're gonna be a heavily bet team.
Okay.
And I don't think they're gonna have a good against the spread record. I do think they're gonna win a ton of games still, and I would take their over. I think it was at 10. But I do have another pick, and it's in the American Conference.
Yeah, I actually don't see the Sun Belt on FanDuel right
It might
now.
not be available on FanDuel.
So, all right, that's all right. But like I said, we had it at 8.5, where we were looking at before. So, like I said, I think that they easily get 8.5.
Yeah.
I think, like they said, they have upside of 10 or 11 wins. So, who do you got for another over?
I got for another over is the Houston Cougars.
Okay.
Dana Holgerson's the coach. He runs that air raid offense.
Yep.
Clayton Tune is their quarterback. He was sort of thrown into the fire because Derek King had redshirted a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now, and he redshirted before he decided to transfer out to Miami. I like Houston. They had a tough year last year. Going 3-5, but I think they've made great improvements during the offseason. They brought in 5 actually Power 5 transfers, 2 from Texas Tech, 1 from Minnesota, 1 from UCLA, and 1 from Texas A&M. And they're all on the offensive side of the ball. They lost 4 starters. But they have their whole offensive line coming back, the quarterback, and they added in some deep threats with those transfers, also to improve their running game. Defense is returning most of their guys, and I saw the 8.5 on FanDuel. The over was plus 120, so I love the juice even more.
Love that.
And I think just off the season they had last year, which was a down year, it was ugly. Didn't really play too well overall, especially in games that they should have won, which I think was just a part of the COVID year. I think Dana Holgerson had a tough time adjusting to that, but I think the 8.5 is a good number. I see them going 9-3 with the schedule they got right now, possibly 10-2, and potentially even making a run at winning the AAC this year. I know Cincinnati's in that, which is always a tough battle.
I feel like Cincinnati lost a couple people last year. Maybe there's a chance for Houston.
Yeah, I think this is the year that Dana Holgerson's going to make a little bit of a leap, though, with his team. And like I said, they'll get the 9-10 wins. I don't want to bet on them to win the AAC because I do like Desmond Ridder in Cincinnati, but I think it's still an opportunity.
Yeah, I like that. Holgerson's been there for a few years, right? Do you know what season this is for him?
This is his third year.
This is his third year, so that's what I thought, and that's that sweet spot where we talked about where these guys are finally getting their recruits in. Yeah, they're transferring some people in too, but hopefully they're getting their recruiting classes in, the guys that they've been talking to for a year or two coming into the program, and then the guys that got in early a year or two to develop, so... Yeah, I like Houston. I think that, like you said, Dana Holgerson's a name. He's there for a reason.
Yeah.
I think that he's kind of in a spot, maybe not as hot of a seat as Scott Frost in Nebraska with, like, it's a win now year for them. But
yeah, I don't think it is necessarily for him because I think he came in at the worst possible time.
Yep.
So this is truthfully like the first year where they get to play through his system and not worry about all the extra shit that came with COVID.
Yeah, the whole offseason to prepare and everything.
Exactly. So they're going to have a good training camp. They'll get into it, and I think you need that more than anything for this offense because it has a lot to do with timing. They need to be able to throw a lot of routes just to make sure that everything's running smoothly in the game. And also, they didn't their running back from last year got injured, and they didn't really have a running game at all last year, so they had to settle on throwing it and bringing in 2 guys, 5 offensive guys from Power 5 conferences. I think just improves that drastically because they're skill guys. You're not worried about the offensive line; those people are already proven. Now these guys just need to hit the hole and catch passes. So
just get open and make a play.
Yep,
I like that. I'm out of overs, so I'm going to switch to an under.
Okay.
And I'm going Conference USA for this one. I don't love the odds right now on FanDuel just because they moved a little bit, but I love the under for Old Dominion this year.
Mm-hmm.
Old Dominion in 2019 was 1-11, fired their coach, brought in a new coach. 2020 they opted out, so it's been almost 2 years now since these guys have just been practicing against each other. They haven't been playing against anyone else. They didn't play all last year, and they just were statistically one of the worst teams 2 years ago. I don't think that they've improved that much. They haven't played that much, obviously.
Yep.
I think they're just bottom of the barrel in a lot of metrics when it comes to offensive defensive production.
Mm-hmm.
The over-unders when I was looking at was 3.5. It's 4 right now on FanDuel. So the overs plus 120. The under 4 is juiced. It's minus 140.
Yep.
So that's what worries me. Going into this, I thought it was going to be closer to even money. The under 3.5 was actually preseason was plus money, plus 105.
Yep.
At minus 140, I have some reservations about it just because it's so much. But if you could find a line, if you can shop this and get it at 3.5 and get it closer to that even money, I love it. Like I said, they have 6 people returning on offense, 3 people returning on defense. The team was terrible to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of question marks on the schedule. I mean, I think that they're favorited in 0 games this year.
Yeah.
On the road.
They're just not even a good football program.
Yeah. Just like I said, just not a great spot to be in with for them. I think that them, and there's a couple other teams that have those over-unders around like the 1, 2, 3 range. They were my favorite just because of how bad they were in 2019.
Yeah.
And then how they took a whole entire year off. To get 4 wins, you're going to have to win. There's really only, in my opinion, there's 3 games that you can kind of consider coin flip games, and really probably only 2. You're at UTEP, it's plus 3.5. You're getting 3.5 points there, and you're home against Charlotte, plus 5. Every other game, Louisiana Tech, you're home against, plus 6.5. So maybe those are 3 games. But other than that, I'm sorry, they are favored in 1 game. That's Hampton. So you have Hampton. They're going to win that one. After that, you have, like I said, UTEP plus 3.5, Charlotte 5. So, okay, your 1-score games, a ball can bounce your way. If everything rolls your way, you're looking at 3 wins. I don't know how they're getting to 4. If you're betting the over 4 wins, I don't know how they're getting to 5. Everything else is plus a touchdown or more, except for that Louisiana Tech game. So I don't feel like too much more needs to be said. I don't know if you have any input on it, but it's just a bottom-of-the-barrel team. I like the under for them.
Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I mean, they're just a terrible football program as a whole. They didn't even want to spend the money last year to play. That's how bad they are during the COVID year. So
yeah, there's some bad teams that played 4 or 5 games. They just couldn't even string that together. So.
Yeah, they just didn't even want to put it together. So I agree. I mean, they're a terrible, terrible team, terrible program.
Yep. What else? Do you got any overs and unders, or you tapped?
No, I just took those 2 overs.
All right, so we got 2 overs, 4 overs for the 2 of us, 1 under.
Yep.
That's the rest of our over-under preview.
Mm-hmm.
And now, like I said, SportsBook Sports on Instagram, SportsBook Sports on YouTube. You can go back and watch all our old episodes. We have previews of all Big 5 conferences, going in detail about who we like, some overs and unders, some things to watch, Heisman candidates for each conference. Mm-hmm. Sportsbook Talks on Twitter. Interact with us on there. Let us know what you guys are thinking about this upcoming season. There's so many storylines and so many different teams competing for that national championship.
Yep.
But before we get to the big games, week 1, we have week 0.
Yep.
So I know that for 100K challenge picks, I have 3 week 0 picks. I know that you have a Cardinals game tonight. But
Yeah,
do you have anything that you're looking at for week 0 that you like? You just completely stayed away because
I'm just staying away right now. I'll probably tweet out some tomorrow.
yeah, so we got a bunch of games all on Saturday.
Yeah, because I want to sort of see how the public money keeps coming in and where I could tail. Right now, I'm leaning towards Nebraska,
Okay.
-7.
Yep.
Not 100% sure on that yet, but leaning towards that currently, the way the public money's coming in. But again, like I said, we'll see. I just can't give my total opinion yet based on the money that I'm seeing coming in.
Yeah, and on all that stuff, we'll tweet updates and stuff like that. Like you're saying, if a bunch of money comes in one way or the other, I might have to change some of these picks just because of the way the line's moving. If a better line comes out there, it might double up on something. But for me, I love UCLA -17.5. They're home Saturday against Hawaii. I think Hawaii starting the season on the road is tough for them. They had a weird year last year where I think they only played 2 road games.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while for them to get up and going. We talked about UCLA in our Pac-12 preview. I think we both like them this year. I think they come out strong. I think they run the ball a ton. I think that they have a good defensive showing as well. I was kind of looking at the under for this at 68.5. I think whenever Hawaii plays a football game, that people like to take the over, but I think Hawaii, if I'm remembering correctly, just isn't as good on the road as they are at home. When you're Hawaii at home, you could put up, in a game, you could put up 70, 80 points when both teams are scoring when you're on the island. But when you come back to the States, the mainland, I just don't think that they do as good a job getting it done on the road. So I like UCLA -17.5. I also really like Fresno State in the under. We were just talking about Old Dominion and how they didn't play at all last year. Fresno State's playing, is hosting Connecticut. I believe UConn didn't play all last year. They opted out as well.
Yeah.
So they're one of those teams that have 2 or 3 wins projected on there for their over-under. They're going to be a bottom-of-the-barrel team. I think Fresno State's going to beat up on them pretty good. It's 27.5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at that, but I'm leaning more towards the under 62.5. I think it's just too high. I'm kind of pigtailing off the NFL, what we saw early on with the unders hitting a lot. I just think that 62.5, I thought this was going to be closer to the 50s. A lot of the other games are 50, 52. I understand why Hawaii, UCLA is up in the 70 range, but Fresno State under 62.5, I love that pick. All my picks are going to be 250 to win 227 because they're all -110 on FanDuel. That's where we do all our betting, is on the FanDuel website. My other one to round this out is going to be Nebraska. I love Nebraska under 54.5. I think it's low scoring. I think it's slow. I think it's Big Ten football. I think it's the first week where programs are kind of just getting under the way.
Yep.
It's Bielema's first year in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, Scott Frost, I feel like he's in a win now mode. I feel like he has been for 2 or 3 years. I don't like Nebraska at all this year. I think they're going to have a bad year. I think he's going to be done there. But to start the season, I think this stays under the 54.5 mark. I think that, like I said, Big Ten football, early kickoff. It's 1 o'clock Eastern, but they play out Midwest, so it's like a 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock kickoff, depending on where they're playing. So early kickoff, going to be slow, going to be big guys up front running the football. An amazing way to start college football. I'm so excited that it's back. Those are my 3 picks right now for the 100K challenge.
Yep. I was going to say, I'll definitely have picks for football tomorrow. Definitely not going to go the Saturday without betting it, but I have one pick for tonight, which is the Cardinals -150. I'm betting 1,500 to win 1,000. J. Happ is matched up versus Dylan Peters of the Pirates. J. Happ has had tremendous success against the Pirates this year in their lineup. Pitched 3 games against them so far, give up 1 run in 2 starts and 2 in the second. And Dylan Peters, who's pitched only 2 games so far this year and has gave 2 good outings, I think that's going to run its course this game. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to get off on him early, put up some runs to support J.A. Happ, and hopefully he can just continue that success versus the Pirates. And I just see that continuing. That trend is just, when a pitcher is confident going against a terrible lineup, I think it doesn't bout well for the the offensive team and the hitters.
Yep.
So I just think I like the percentages in that one, and that's why I'm taking the Cardinals money line.
I love it. Love it, especially when you're betting against the Pirates. I feel like that's always a good bet.
Yeah.
One thing that we didn't go over, which I skipped over, I apologize for that, is just where we're standing right now with the 100K challenge.
Yep.
So again, we started with the 100K challenge a few months ago now. Bet through the slow part of the year with baseball, and we got, I think, a little bit of basketball in, maybe not though. Olympics, golf, all kinds of weird stuff over the summer. I think we had some UFC fights. So started with $10,000, trying to grow that to $100,000. Right now, I am sitting at a terrible 17-42-1. I've lost about half my bankroll. I'm sitting at $5,400. Connor, you're 23-33-1. You're sitting about even, about down $1,000, so $9,200 right now. I want to just take a snapshot in my head. This is where I'm starting. Wanted to start at $10,000. Hoping to start at $15,000 going into football season.
Yep.
Instead, I'm $5,000 in the hole, but we'll grind it out. We'll be getting a lot sharper with our football picks this year.
100%.
Next week, we'll be talking about futures, conference winners, talking about NFL, looking at that type of stuff. We'll be breaking that down. One thing I do want to give out, which I didn't put on my card just because I'm going to have it next week, but I'm not sure if you need to put it in before week 0, is a future bet for college football on conference winners. So I don't know if you're aware of this, but it's like Oklahoma, Clemson, and Alabama win the conference every single year.
Yeah.
So if you throw in Oklahoma, Clemson, and what did I just take out? Ohio State. Oklahoma, Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama, you're looking at plus 300 on the FanDuel website. If you take out Alabama and you throw in Georgia, you're looking at plus 650.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have to get the bets in before week 0. None of those teams play week 0. I don't think any of those conferences play, so you might be okay. But just in case, I'm definitely going to be taking those. So take a look. I love FanDuel because you can just parlay conference winners like that. You can parlay division winners. Not every website gives you that option. Not every place gives you that option.
What's Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama? Just those 3. I don't know if I necessarily like Oklahoma this year. I sort of like Iowa State. But what is just those 3?
So the Clemson, Ohio State, and Alabama.
Yeah.
Plus 160.
Yeah, it's not crazy odds, but I think that's just almost guaranteed. The only sketchy one maybe is Alabama. I think they're going to have a dominant year, but Clemson and Ohio State are going to run through that without a doubt.
Clemson and Ohio State are big-time lockups.
I'm not even necessarily worried about Alabama being good. I'm just worried about a couple other teams being better.
Yeah.
But plus 160, I mean, what's just Ohio State and Clemson?
Yeah, that's weird. I think it goes to minus 160.
Yeah, see, that's just, they know that's a lock.
Yeah, it's because Clemson's minus 900.
Yeah. See, I would put like 160,000 on that if I had that type of money.
Yeah.
And just make a salary in football.
Yeah, there's just no one. No one's going to beat Ohio. No one's going to win the Big Ten besides Ohio State.
Yeah, and I don't think.
No one in the ACC.
I would say of those 2, Clemson's probably the more of a lock because they just run through the ACC. Like, there's no one even comparable. But, I mean, Ohio State, who's the next favorite?
Wisconsin, Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a shot.
No way. No shot.
So, I mean, yeah, that could be easy money.
Yeah, so next week we'll definitely dive into some of these more. We'll give out over-unders on the season if we want for a 100K challenge. Any of these conference winners and stuff for the 100K challenge.
Yep.
We'll lock those in. We'll do previews of the NFL because, again, we have a week or 2 to the NFL starts. And then we'll give out those overs and unders, any conference, Heisman winners that we like for the 100K challenge. We'll have all that stuff next week. It's going to be a really busy week, but I love it because football is here.
Yes, sir.
So
Looking
again,
forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this episode. We'll catch you guys next time.
We'll see you then.